Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. If you are a valued member of my ICU Dreaming About Anesthesia community, welcome. That ends up being a little bit of a tongue twister. I'm going to have to get used to that. But the link for that group is in the description. So if you're not already a member, please check it out. I have so many helpful tools for you to use if you're an aspiring CRNA. Today, I'm going to cover how much debt is too much debt. A big concern a lot of people have when deciding whether to go back for anesthesia is how they're going to pay for it. Because now that programs are becoming D&P programs, that's one more additional year that they're going to have to potentially not work and take out more loans to live on and things like that. I wish I had a magic solution to give you guys, but I don't. So I can simply just share with you guys the way that majority of people handle this, and some of the stories I've heard along the way of how people have been able to kind of decrease the amount of debt they've incurred while going to school. So one of the big things is cutting back on any personal expenses you have, meaning if you're subscribed to Netflix or any other gym membership, cut back on that. I mean, find ways to work out outside around the house or something like that. You can get workout videos instead of paying $40 a month for a gym membership. I know us personally, we cut out cable. We never went out to eat. We never went to see movies. I drove a 10-year-old car with no car payment that was paid off. We had a small little condo that we rented that we knew we could easily afford to pay on one income. I was fortunate enough to have my husband to support me, but we still ended up having to take out additional loans to cover some living expenses, as well as tuition. Another thing that you can look into doing towards the end of your SRNA career is a lot of hospitals will give you stipends if you sign a work contract with them. I actually just talked to someone who's looking into the North Carolina school area, and she said they have hospitals there that are willing to pay for your entire schooling if you sign like a 3-year work contract. To me, that would be a no-brainer. That sounds like a lot of money that they're going to be willing to give a CRNA, but my only caution to you is, what's the work environment like? Are they that desperate to where they can't recruit CRNAs and they have to pay SRNAs all the way through their schooling to get CRNAs to work for them? So I would go after that path and with caution, and make sure you at least talk to people who have worked there before you sign any kind of contract. Another thing about signing contracts, I did it. I took a $30,000 stipend towards the end of my school, and I signed a 4-year work contract with my future employer. The thing is, if you were to break that contract for any reason, meaning leave to go to a different hospital within a certain radius, or actually it didn't really matter what radius, you couldn't break that contract. You owed them 4 years. And if you broke that, you would owe back a portion of what they paid you plus the interest that they incurred giving you that loan. In some places, they'll make you pay back the entire amount. It doesn't matter if you only had 6 months left of that contract. If you break it, they'll make you pay back the entire stipend. So keep that in mind before you take something. If you are not sure if you can commit to some place for 3-4 years or however long that they're making you sign that contract for, don't do it. You will regret it. Okay, so that's an option. I talked to an SRNA recently who did the military for 4 years before he went and got his associate's degree in nursing. So in that 4 years in the military, he was able to save up enough to pay for his associate's degree in cash. He then worked as an RN and found a hospital who would then pay for him to get his BSN. So when he was done getting his BSN, he literally had no debt, and he spent the entire time working as a nurse getting his BSN because he was able to get his BSN all online. So he just continuously saved money, and he has been able to pay for anesthesia school in cash. So he has not had to take out a single loan, but he also drives a car that doesn't have a car payment. He lives in a really small 1-bedroom apartment. Him and his wife do, and I do believe his wife works. I think his wife's a nurse, so he's also has that as an additional income coming in. But he's going to graduate debt free. He also picked a program that's affordable. So his program's only $35,000 a year. There are programs that are upwards of $100,000 a year. If you know you can't afford that or you're worried about it, I would encourage you to be willing to travel out of state or something like that to attend a different program. I do understand that there's out-of-state tuition, but if you were to pre-plan this and move, say, a year before you apply to the program, you would then qualify for in-state tuition. Obviously look into those rules and regulations. I'm not sure if all states are a little different in that aspect, but I do believe you have to be a resident for at least a year to qualify for in-state tuition. But it might not matter. It might still be cheaper than your option back home, even paying out-of-state tuition. So that's something to also consider. So how much debt is too much debt? That's a big question, and the question that's kind of hard for me to answer because it's a very personal thing. Some people don't want to take out any loans. I think any amount of loans is bad, and they're so fearful of that to the point where they would never even attempt to take out a loan to go to grad school. I'm pretty, I was used to surviving on loans when I was an undergrad. I took out credit cards when I was 18 and kind of used that and juggled my credit cards all through my undergrad to kind of help pay for things. But I was always responsible with it, and I have a good credit score. But I got kind of used to juggling money that way. And so when I was done with my undergrad, I had $80,000 of just student loan debt. But I was only making about $50,000 as a nurse. So I had, more than 100% debt to income ratio. So for me, going back to school to more than triple my income was kind of a no-brainer financially, even if it meant me taking out more loans. So when I was done with grad school, I had $150,000 of student loans, and I didn't find that stressful to pay off at all. So I think that $150,000 is a pretty reasonable amount, and I would say kind of the average amount that I've talked to most people. They tend to have right around that amount when they graduate anesthesia school. So with that, just again, put it in perspective on how much I had to pay and how quickly I'm paying that down, and I'm doing that very comfortably. I refinanced about a year and a half after I graduated. I wish I would have done that a little sooner, but I think a lot of companies make you wait at least a year to refinance. But I refinanced. I had 6.8% on some of my government loans. I had less than that on some of my private loans. That's just kind of interrupt myself for a second. Don't be afraid of private loans. A lot of times you can get a better interest rate with a good credit history on private loans than you can get with government loans. But either way, so I refinanced after a year and a half. I chopped my interest rate down to 3.25%. That's with me having a checking account with them and setting up automatic payments. I chopped my interest a little bit more by doing those few things. But 3.25% interest, and I paid it down. I signed up for a 5-year plan. So I've paid down that much debt to $150,000, and it'll be 7 years total by the time I have it all paid off. But my first year out of school, I had no kids. I worked a bunch of overtime. I paid off $30,000 easy my first year. But then we bought a house that needed a new roof, and we had kids, and I took maternity leave, and yada, yada, yada. Life happens, right? So I didn't exactly take an aggressive approach to paying down my loans. There's a podcast called Head of the Bed, and there's an episode on there about anesthesia school and how to deal with the finances in that. And I would encourage you to listen to that episode. The girl who shared her story, her husband's an accountant, so obviously they know how to manage money. And she graduated with $140,000 of student loan debt, and she managed to pay it off in 15 months. That's pretty insane if you ask me, but that just goes to show you that it can be done. So when it comes to taking out debt like that, I wouldn't be fearful considering how much you're going to increase your salary. If you were to run some simple numbers, let's just say on average CRNAs make $160,000 a year, and let's just say as a nurse you make $60,000 a year. That's $100,000 more dollars a year per 20 plus years of working or 30 plus years of working that you're going to have as a CRNA compared to an RN. So taking out $100,000 to $150,000 of student loan is really not a big deal in the big picture of things, you guys. You're going to make up for that, tenfold or more. So, but what is too much debt? Sorry, I'm getting off track again, but hopefully you found all that kind of information helpful. So I personally think too much debt is when you get upwards of the $300,000 range. I even think $250,000 would kind of be where my hard max would be, because I'll kind of share with you guys some numbers. So I talked to a CRNA who has $350,000 of student loan debt, and she's not, to have that kind of debt, you're going to be taking some pretty major lifestyle cutbacks to be able to pay that off in a reasonable time. So what she found out she could get is a 4.9% APR for a 14-year payoff period, and that's $3,000 a month. That's as best as she could get. If she were to pay it off any quicker than that at even at a lower interest rate, you're talking at like a $6,000 a month payment, which on average you would be bringing home about $8,000 a month after taxes and 401k and all that stuff you're putting into. You bring home about $8,000 a month. So to pay more than $3,000 a month, you'd pretty much be living like you would as an RN for, 7 years or something like that after school, which would stink, to work that hard and not be able to at least enjoy your life a little bit more than you were prior to going through all that. So yeah, my hard limit would be right around $250,000. If you can't complete CRNA school for less than $250,000, you need to probably look into ways you can start saving better, or ways you can cut back your living expenses so you can try to take out less debt. But I think if you finish right around 150 to 200,000, I think that it's very manageable to pay off your debt in a reasonable amount of time as a CRNA. So I hope that helped you guys put things in perspective a little bit. And I look forward to sharing more information with you guys as this channel grows. All right, again, subscribe to my channel. And if you are not a member of my Facebook community, it's called I See You Dreaming About Anesthesia. I look forward to sharing with you guys everything I know about how to become a CRNA. And stay tuned because I have some great other things coming. I'm working on a website. So I will be introducing that to you guys a little bit later. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.